Listen to me very carefully. If you receive PIP, or if you are planning to apply for PIP in the future, this video could protect your money, your support, and your independence. The DWP has officially confirmed a major PIP rule change starting February 2026, and many people still don't understand what this really means. Some are already panicking, some are ignoring it completely. Both are dangerous mistakes, because what I'm going to explain today is not being explained clearly anywhere else. This change will affect how your claim is judged, how your evidence is checked, and how future decisions are made. If you turn this video off early, you could miss one small detail that later costs you thousands of pounds. So please stay with me till the very end, because I will explain everything in simple English, step by step, with no fear, no confusion, only the truth. I know many of you watching are over 50, over 60, living with pain, illness, or disability. You are not lazy. You are not asking for extra. You are only asking for support you are legally entitled to. This channel exists for people like you who deserve clear information without scary headlines and fake promises. I will explain what the DWP is changing, what is safe, what is risky, and how you can protect yourself before it's too late. Many people across the UK rely on personal independence payment, also known as PIP, not as a luxury, but as a lifeline. For millions of disabled people, those with long-term illnesses, and individuals whose daily lives are affected by physical or mental conditions, PIP is what helps them survive, stay independent, and live with dignity. That is why the recent confirmation from the Department for Work and Pensions about a major rule change starting from February 2026 has caused confusion, fear, and concern. You may have seen shocking headlines or alarming videos claiming that PIP is being taken away or that thousands will lose their benefits overnight. But the truth is more complex, and it is very important to understand what is actually changing, what is not changing, and how you can prepare calmly and smartly so you are protected. First, let us be very clear about one thing, because this is where most people are getting confused. PIP is not being stopped in February 2026, and existing claimants are not suddenly losing their payments when that date arrives. There is no mass cancellation, no sudden cutoff, and no automatic removal of benefits. If you already receive PIP, your current award continues as normal under the rules that were used when your claim was decided. Payments do not just stop because a new policy begins. That is a key point that many social media posts fail to explain properly, and this lack of clarity is what creates unnecessary panic. So what is actually changing in February 2026? The confirmed change relates mainly to how PIP claims are assessed, reviewed, and managed, not to the basic idea of who qualifies overnight. The DWP is planning to adjust the way assessments are carried out, how evidence is gathered, and how decisions are made. This includes a stronger focus on consistency, tighter scrutiny of evidence, and more structured assessment processes. In simple terms, it means the system will become more controlled and more detailed, and claimants will need to be more prepared when they apply or go through a review. For people making new PIP claims from February 2026 onward, the experience may feel different compared to those who applied years ago. Assessors may ask clearer but more specific questions. Medical evidence may be looked at more closely. Daily living activities and mobility limitations may be judged in a stricter, more evidence-based way. This does not mean genuine claimants will be refused, but it does mean that vague explanations, missing paperwork, or poorly described difficulties could lead to problems. The DWP wants decisions to rely less on assumptions and more on documented, consistent information. If you already receive PIP, you may be wondering what this means for your future reviews. Your award stays protected until your scheduled review or reassessment. When that review happens, it will likely follow the updated assessment style that comes into force after February 2026. This is why preparation matters. It is not about fear, it is about being ready. Keeping medical records up to date, continuing treatment where appropriate, and being able to clearly explain how your condition affects your daily life will become even more important. One reason this change matters so much is because PIP is not based on your diagnosis alone. It is based on how your condition affects your ability to carry out daily activities and move around safely, repeatedly and reliably. Many people assume that having a serious condition automatically guarantees PIP, but that has never been how the system works. What the DWP is doing now is reinforcing that principle and making the assessment process more structured around it. That can feel threatening, but it also means that clear, honest, well-documented claims have a stronger foundation. Another important issue that needs to be addressed is the widely discussed future change known as the 4-point rule. This rule is not starting in February 2026. It is planned for later, currently November 2026, and even then it is aimed mainly at new claims, not existing ones. The idea behind that future change is that claimants would need to score at least 4 points in a single daily living activity to qualify for the daily living component, rather than spreading points thinly across many activities. This change has not yet come into force, and it is still subject to parliamentary approval. However, many people mistakenly mix this future proposal with the February 2026 changes, creating unnecessary fear. The February 2026 update should be seen as a transition phase. It is the stage where the DWP begins reshaping how the PIP system operates behind the scenes. Think of it as changing the rules of how the game is judged, not changing the game itself overnight. If you understand that difference, you are already ahead of most people who only read headlines without context. For claimants, the most important thing now is preparation, not panic. Preparation means understanding your own condition clearly, not just medically, but practically. How does it affect you when you prepare food, wash, dress, communicate, manage medication, plan journeys, or move around outdoors? These real-life effects matter more than medical labels. Being able to explain them in simple, honest terms is key. It also means keeping evidence organized. Letters from doctors, consultants, physiotherapists, mental health professionals, or support workers can all help. But evidence does not have to be dramatic to be useful. Even routine appointment notes, prescription lists, or care plans can support your case if they show ongoing difficulties. The DWP is expected to rely more heavily on such documentation under the updated system. Another thing many people misunderstand is that these changes are not designed to target vulnerable people unfairly. While it is true that the benefit system often feels harsh, the stated aim of the DWP is to reduce inconsistency, speed up decisions, and ensure support goes to those who meet the criteria. Whether the system achieves this fairly is a matter of debate, but understanding the intention helps you respond wisely rather than emotionally. If you are thinking about applying for PIP for the first time and your condition already affects you significantly, some advisors suggest not delaying unnecessarily. Claims made before major eligibility changes later in 2026 may be assessed under the current rules. However, this is a personal decision and should be based on your situation, not fear. Rushing a claim without proper evidence can be just as harmful as waiting too long. It is also important to understand that PIP reviews are not automatic punishments. Many people fear reassessments because of bad past experiences, but a review is simply a check to see whether your needs have changed. If your condition has stayed the same or worsened, and you can show that clearly, your award can continue. Under the new system, clarity and consistency will matter more than emotional explanations alone. For people with fluctuating conditions, mental health issues, or invisible disabilities, the updated assessment style may feel challenging. That is why describing your worst days, not just your best ones, is crucial. PIP is assessed on whether you can do activities safely, repeatedly, in a reasonable time, and to an acceptable standard. If you can only do something occasionally or with severe difficulty, that still counts as a limitation. Understanding this language and using it correctly can make a huge difference. There is also a lot of fear around the idea that assessments will become fully digital or automated. While the DWP is increasing the use of digital tools, this does not mean human assessors disappear. It means information may be gathered and reviewed more efficiently. Phone and face-to-face assessments will still exist, and claimants will still have opportunities to explain their situations. However, consistency in your story across forms, evidence, and assessments will become even more important. One of the biggest mistakes claimants make is underplaying their difficulties out of pride, embarrassment, or fear of being judged. The PIP system does not reward bravery or positivity. It assesses need. Being honest about what you struggle with is not weakness. It is accuracy. The February 2026 changes make this honesty even more essential. It is also worth remembering that if you disagree with a decision, the right to challenge remains. Mandatory reconsiderations and appeals are not being removed. In fact, clear documentation and well-explained cases often succeed at appeal stage. Knowing your rights is part of preparation. What makes this moment particularly important is the wider context. The UK benefit system is under pressure, and reforms are happening gradually rather than all at once. February 2026 is one step in a longer process. Understanding that timeline helps you stay calm and focused rather than reacting to every scary headline. For families and carers, this change matters too. Supporting someone through a PIP claim or review requires patience, organization, and understanding. Helping them keep records, attend appointments, and explain their daily challenges can make a real difference. Ultimately, the message for claimants is not that disaster is coming, but that awareness is power. The DWP has confirmed a change, yes, but it is a change you can prepare for. Knowledge, evidence, and clear communication are your strongest tools. If you take one thing away from this, let it be this. February 2026 is not the end of PIP, but it is a signal to take your claims seriously, understand the system, and be ready. Those who prepare calmly and honestly are far more likely to protect their support than those who panic or ignore what is coming. This topic matters because PIP is not just money. It represents independence, stability, and dignity for millions of people. Understanding changes like this is not about politics or fear, it is about protecting your future and your well-being. Staying informed, prepared, and confident is the best response to any reform.